Hello, welcome to No Bruises on the Outside. I'm Roger Reynolds. In this video, I'm going to talk about what I call mindfulness in the moment and what Richard Davidson, a mindfulness researcher, calls awareness. And meta awareness, I think, is a term that he used. I'll post a link to a TED Talk that he did down in the description. So, what I call mindfulness in the moment is not sitting mindfulness where you sit for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. It's not where you do a body scan. It's where you can do mindfulness in the moment. So, the practice of doing it is you could be washing dishes and just pay attention to sensations and feelings and sounds with washing dishes. You could pick up any object and look at it and just kind of observe it and explore it with all of your senses. There are many ways, and I'm going to do some samples of this, but by doing these little practices, and it could be while you're driving, and you can pay attention to any of your five senses: sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. At any time, you can kind of go through all five of those for like identify one or two things, or if there's one of those senses that you like, you can focus on that and look to do two to five in one or two senses to identify. What this practice does is it works to help you develop being aware of what's going on with yourself. And how I use this, and you also can do it regarding your thoughts. By using it to help identify your thoughts in the moment, or your feelings, or your body sensations in the moment, is if you've lived disconnected from paying attention to those, working to do these non emotional things like washing dishes or looking at an object helps you to pay more attention in the moment to yourself. And I want to tell one story of how I use this. So, by paying by paying attention to more of my thoughts and my body sensations, it helps me to identify triggers because you have to be aware of what's happening to identify that you're being triggered. So, all of my life, I have had depression, I've had struggles with mood, and it's very common for me I'm an extrovert, and it's very common for me to go to a social gathering and have a legitimate, genuine, sincere good time, to enjoy visiting with the people. But when I leave that event and I'm driving away, within 2 to 5 minutes, I can be feeling depressed. I can be having thoughts that I wish I was dead, and my mood just goes, down so quickly. And so I knew that I did this. I talked to a therapist about it. Nobody had a really good explanation until I started to watch it. And at two different events, particularly, I watched it that I was having a good time. And in one, it was a house party, a singing potluck party. And I knew that I'd be getting ready to leave and saying goodbye to people. And even as that 10 to 20 minutes when I knew I would be leaving, I started watching that I was already having more depressed and more down thoughts. And by the time I got in the car to leave, I was already really feeling pretty down. At another event, I was at a social presentation and then out to dinner with a few people. And that one I knew was coming to an end, and I didn't really watch, and I was still having a really good time, very engaged. But within 2 minutes, and I marked the point geographically driving where I knew that I started having thoughts of I'd rather be dead from just 5 minutes ago having a really good time. And so by using this mindfulness in the moment, I was able to watch my thoughts, what I was thinking about when this transition happened from having a good time to feeling really down. And it's that awareness of my thoughts and sometimes body sensations, but this was specifically thoughts. By figuring that out, by figuring out how that was happening, what I was thinking, using mindfulness in the moment is what helped me figure this out. And what I figured out was, as a child, being out in public was always more fun and more safe because my family was on public proper behavior versus going home was where there was no one around to regulate their behavior. So it was scary, it was unfun, it was dangerous at home. So that happened very early in my life. And then going home, that kind of became generalized to being with people is fun and safe. and going home is not. And so it was by watching my mind and these transitions that I was able to see a trigger and when I changed and when it happened. So using mindfulness in the moment is a way to watch our thoughts and our body sensations to start to identify triggers that we might have in complex PTSD or in just in general life of like when you have a strong mood change, if you can start to identify what was happening and what you were thinking. So that's one way that I use mindfulness in the moment, and I hope that you find this helpful. Take care.